My name is George Cowling. I'm here today with Chapter 315 of the EAA, and we're standing in front of a Stearman. This is Dominic Del Rosso. Dominic, what year is this plane?
It's 1941.
1941.
Built by Boeing.
Built by Boeing aircraft, and that's in where? Wichita, Kansas?
It's the same people.
Yeah, that's
747.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wichita, Kansas.
And where do you base your airplane?
Marlboro Airport.
And somebody told me that you give rides on weekends. Is that true?
Yes, that's right.
Good. We'll have to get more people out there and get some more rides. Now I'm interviewing Robin Smith. Robin, give us some details on this triplane.
This triplane is actually a new airplane that was built up to be the same specs as the original Red Baron's airplane. It's brand new in every respect, and it's full scale and acts just about the way his did.
How much power does it have?
This one has a 150 horse Lycoming in it, which the original had a 100 horse.
Okay.
But the original engines were still a little stronger.
Let's see. How long did it take to build?
It took 2.5 years, just about full time.
Okay. I was standing here with Frank Fine, owner of this fine Taylorcraft. He's the local chapter president of Chapter 315, the Jersey Shore chapter. Frank, I'll hand it over to you. Tell us about the chapter.
The chapter started in about 1968 and has been growing ever since as the EAA movement, antique aircraft and home builts have continued to grow. And we now have about 60 members, paid up members, and we meet once a month, and they're kindred souls who are aviation buffs. Not all of them are pilots, not all of them are builders, but they all have a common bond in that they love airplanes.
Right.
And we get along together. We have a lot of fun. We have an annual fly-in, which has grown now. This is about our 4th one we had this year, and the 5th annual coming up. We have had an attendance of about 3,000 people, and about 80 aircraft have been known to show up from time to time. And that's usually held in June. Our other events coming up, our annual dinner, our Valentine's Day dinner. We have a mall display coming up, and that's in March.
Right, that's at Monmouth Mall, right?
Yeah, Monmouth Mall.
Okay.
And we just keep going from event to event. We have bus rides planned from time to time to different museums, and we just have a lot of fun helping each other on projects. We'll stop in on a guy who's working and help him do his rib stitching or his painting or his welding or whatever is coming up. And we just keep going that way.
Tell us something about your Taylorcraft.
Okay, it's the 4th BL65 that was built according to the serial numbers. BL stands for B model with a Lycoming engine, L for the Lycoming, and 65 stands for the amount of horsepower. So this is a pre-war model built in 1939. The color scheme it's in may or may not be the original for this airplane, but it is an original Taylorcraft color scheme. So that part of it is just the way it was. And actually today, except for the type of fabric that's on it, this is the way it looked when it left the factory.
Right.
Of course, Taylorcraft used either Irish linen or cotton for their covering process.
For the wing covering and the fuselage covering.
Correct.
Right.
Today we use, some guys still use cotton. But if you expect the airplane to last for 10 or 15 years in outdoor...
Between coverings,
right,
so to speak.
It's better to use a Dacron, it's called Seconite, and it's impervious to weather, it doesn't rot,
right.
And this paint is also a more modern paint. This is a polyurethane paint, which actually becomes like a plastic and keeps its shine better. So there are several improvements in just the techniques, but as far as looks and the way it flies,
just like the original,
just like the original
1939
Taylorcraft.
Yeah.
It took about 3 years to do it, all told, with the help of some friends, Robin Smith for one. A lot of other guys come over from time to time, and
right.
We'd all work on it together.
Really
and
looks beautiful.
It flies great. It's also very economical. Burns about 3.5 gallons an hour while it's cruising along at 90 miles an hour, and that's an honest cruise. So it's like an airborne Volkswagen.
Right. That's tremendous. I don't know how to stand.
Do you know what you're going to ask?
Okay. We're standing here now with Lou Levinson. Lou, in the club, what is your position right now?
Right now, I'm vice president.
Vice president. Lou, we're standing here, and Grace flew this Piper Cub down today from Marlboro, right?
Yes.
And Grace, how long have you been flying?
About 9 years.
About 9 years. And where did you take your training?
At Marlborough Airport.
At Marlboro
Yes.
Airport. What year is your Cub?
It's 1946.
1946.
J3 Cub.
And what horsepower is it?
65 horsepower.
65 horsepower?
Yes.
So this is another Volkswagen of airplanes, so to speak.
Yes.
It burns like 3.5 gallons an hour.
Yes.
And how fast does it cruise?
Oh, about 70, 75.
About 70, 75 miles an hour.
Yes.
Ken Maxwell in front of a rocket champ. Ken, tell me something about your plane.
Well, this is an Aranca 7AC Champ built in 1946. I've had it for roughly 13 years, and I spent the last 2 years restoring it along with my wife. And it's a pretty decent airplane to fly. Stalls at 38, cruises between 80 and 90 miles an hour. And we had restored it exactly the way it came from the factory, with a red and yellow paint scheme.
It looks beautiful. How long did it take to restore it?
Actually 2 years, from
2
about
years?
the time we started till we finished.
It's a lot of work.
It sure is. And all my neighbors were rooting for me. Every time they go past a house, they ask me how it's coming along.
Right.
Sitting in a driveway, not everybody has one.
That's true. Where do you live, Ken?
We live in Beechwood.
Down in Beechwood?
Right.
So I guess lots of different people were
Oh,
always interested.
Everybody that came by always had to stop, and
See
we
how you
spent
were
most
doing?
of our time talking.
First up is Robin Smith in a Fokker triplane, and Robin's going up. Second up is Dominic Del Rosso in the Stearman PT-17. Third up is Frank Fine, our club president, in his Taylorcraft. And fourth up is Bernie Golden in his Cessna 140. Fifth up is Frank Werner and his Champ. Sixth up is Bill Bratch, our club secretary, in his Champ. Sixth up is Bobby Hayes in his Piper Cub. Now comes Bobby Hayes in his Piper Cub. Beautiful. There he goes. Next we have Lou Levinson and Grace.
Much confusion
in their Piper Cub. Next we have a Cessna 140. Comes Robin Smith in a Fokker triplane for a flyby.
Don't impress me, just upset me. Can't instruct me or conduct me, just use up my time. I talk to the wind, my words are all carried away.
Very nice, Bernie.
To the wind,
It's Frank Werner and his champ, a rocket champ.
the wind cannot hear.
Here we have a flyby of about 10 feet for Lou and Grace in the Cub. Lou Levinson. Okay, he's doing a flyby. It's a Cessna 140 doing a flyby. Very nice. And Robin Smith coming in to landing Fokker triplane.
My words are all carried away.
After some exhilarating flying, the pilots landed their beautiful birds, exchanged comments, and discussed their next outing.
Does not hear. The wind cannot hear. Said the straight man to the late man, where have you been? I've been here and I've been there and I've been